The good, the bad, and the odd. It's a thing.
Welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Odd. We hosts Mark and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
Okay, so this week we're doing Overlord, which came out last year, right? One thing I want to do, though, is I wanted to mention before we get into the film, Chinstroker versus Punter, they're kind of talking on their Facebook group about cross-promoting podcasts, you know, trying to get some cross-promotion. Now, we dropped doing trailers a long time ago because it just didn't seem to be... It just made editing a bit of a pain, frankly. Yeah. But they were kind enough to play our trailer on their last show because Mike from Chinstroker vs. Punter, who is Chinstroker, and that's a great podcast, by the way, kindly played our trailer. I was kind of surprised to hear it. I did drop it. He did ask for him, and I did drop on the list, but he picked our one first, which is cool. So so I think we need to return that. So I'll tell you what, we're going to play the Chinstroker vs. Punter trailer here.
Are you tired of film podcasts where the hosts exist in a constant, blissful state of agreement?
I mean, the main characters are two of the dullest main characters I have ever encountered in any film.
Well, you're in luck. Let me introduce you to Chinstroker and Punter. One is an ex-film student with a penchant for David Lynch and art cinema. The other is a man on the street. Listen in perplexed and horrified terror as we tear apart one film a week.
It just really
It's not visually striking.
No.
Just getting confirmation.
It's just that's the third time though. I mean, is this on?
You can find us at csvsp.libsyn.com. So come and share the victory.
If you could fuck any man in film, who would it be and why?
My answer is Lance Henriksen.
Oh!
He wouldn't tell. He looks like somebody... he looks like somebody who can keep a secret.
Okay, so Chinstroker vs. Punter. Have you ever listened to Chinstroker vs. Punter?
I think I've only really listened to it with you in like long car trips, sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
So,
You're not a big podcast listener, are you?
No,
Right.
I tend to. I've only got like a couple I actually listen to.
Yeah,
so.
I'm a big podcast listener, you see. But my favourite by far is Chinstroker vs. Punter. I say this every time. And it is funny because Paul on that show, who's Punter, never listens to podcasts. He's on it, but he never listens to him, so it's kind of funny. So okay, so that was their trailer. So yeah, great podcast, thoroughly recommended. Okay, and they somehow managed to get a show out. Now one of them's living in New Zealand. The joys of Skype, right? That's what that is.
Yeah.
So only tech allows that. Okay, so Overlord. So this came out last year. Now, for some reason, I had in my head that J.J. Abrams, Abrams was the director, but no, he's a producer. He's part of the Bagged Robot production, but he's not the director of this. It was directed by Julius Avery, written by Billy Ray and Mark L. Smith. No one particularly famous in it, right? And this is a high overview plot. It's a men on a mission film, which I always kind of like. World War II. An American sort of squad are dropped behind enemy lines to specifically take out a radio tower or a radio beacon that's at a church in a little French village that's stopping air communications and needs to be taken out before the D-Day landing. So the idea is the whole war kind of hinges on this. And they don't seem a particularly elite squad, do they? They seem like an average squad. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. And I got a feeling that there's lots of squads being dropped off because we do see a whole...
Yeah, there's loads of planes and an armada. So
they've all got their own mission. So it isn't just... I don't think it's just this particular... radio disruptor, whatever it is, has got to be taken out. I think there's lots of missions that lots of men are on, and they've got a certain percentage you've got to succeed for it to be. I think that's the idea. But they get dropped behind sort of in France just before D-Day, so effectively they're in enemy territory and sort of make their way from there. Interesting because it wasn't that long ago we watched another World War II Men on a Mission movie, is it? And it's not something we did particularly, but just happens to be this was one. I think I suggested this one, right? Because I managed to get a copy. So came out 4 or 5 months ago. Didn't do that well. It grossed 41 million, budget of 38 million.
Yeah, so it lost a lot of money. So
Yeah, because if you put your marketing on top, you lost that. I suspect it'll make it all back though, from TV.
maybe.
sales. No, I think it will. It was fine. Okay, I'll tell you what. Can I just tell you what it made me think of while I was watching it? It made me think of Wolfenstein.
Yep.
And Sniper Elite. That's what it made me. Both video games, right? It made me think of those films.
Specifically, Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which is all about they find an old zombie thing under a town.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and interestingly, because I kind of wanted to watch Overlord not long ago, and I never got around to it in the cinema. Not long ago, I rewatched an old soldiers finding weird Nazi experiment stuff recently, which is a film called Outpost. Have you heard of that one?
No, I have not.
Ray Stevenson's in it, and loads of good actors like Michael Smiley and stuff like that. It's a fun film. It's quite grim and very grey looking. It could be a black and white film. It's so grey looking. But this is modern soldiers, mercenaries in a sort of war zone, but they find an old Nazi bunker and there's weird experiments going on. But it turns out that they were sent there deliberately to get this stuff anyway, but they weren't briefed on it. It was one of them kind of things. Dropped in a crap, a bit like Predator. Well, a bit like Predator, I guess. But that was Nazi ghost zombies. Now this is something different. What was your feeling about the film?
I didn't like it that much.
It was weird, wasn't it? There was something about it that it wasn't as much fun as it could have been.
Yeah.
And it was kind of
it was like
tense.
100% B-movie story sort of thing.
Which is good.
It's like zombie Nazis and you fight things. I think because they tried to make the main characters sort of realistic.
They weren't that likeable, weren't they?
It lost all the charm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't that likeable. The only one that was likeable didn't really talk at all. And
Who was that?
The was it Royce?
Boyce.
Boyce.
He was
Survivor. So.
He was the black guy that first found the explosions. Yeah. What do you think of Corporal Ford, the explosive expert that was kind of?
He was okay, but he was just an asshole most of the time.
Now, do you know who that actor is?
He was an asshole for the most mundane reasons.
Right.
Like, he was far too focused on the job.
I mean, in the end, he kind of relented. He said, we don't have to take out the church from outside. And he said, look, but if we do that, we've got a chance to save these people. And all right, it's a long shot, but think how good we'll feel if we get the long shot. And he's like, all right then. He said, okay. Did he remind you of anyone?
No.
Right. Actor's name was Wyatt Russell. Does that give you any clues who that might be?
No.
Kurt Russell's son. This is Kurt Russell's son. And when you know that, you kind of hear it in the voice and a bit in the chin. But when I started watching it, he kind of, I felt like he was the love child of Kurt Russell and Ryan Gosling. That's how it came across to me.
Yeah.
He looked a bit like both of them. But he definitely talks a lot like Kurt Russell, so I could kind of see it there. He didn't quite have the same level of charm as Kurt Russell. He was an arsehole, basically. I quite like the French actress, Chloe. I thought she was pretty good.
She was pretty good.
She was good at it.
Mathilde Olivier.
And I also like the stroppy New York guy who was like getting annoyed with the kid, who actually he was kind of a likable fella by the end, wasn't he? He was gruff, but he was all right. But there was various people. And then I quite like the Sarge, but he didn't last very long, did he?
No.
Shouting them on the plane, you got to do this, you got to do that. But unfortunately, he parachuted right in the midst of a load of Germans. And he's kind of just stood there and said, any of you Krauts got a cigarette? And they just shot him dead, didn't they?
Yeah.
But he knew that was happening, and Boyce was going to intervene, but I think, was it Russell stopped him and said, look, he's dead anyway. We got to go. We got a mission. Yeah. The mission comes first and all this. So basically they got to take out this radio tower. They got explosives expert, but for whatever reason, we can go through the plot a bit, but Boyce discovers there's something way more sinister going on in this church than just the sort of radio signals, isn't it? There's basically weird experiments. There's something seeping up through the ground like a black tar, and I think they're using that to experiment on people and make super soldier. It's like a super soldier story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird zombie formula / super soldier thing.
Yeah. It had a bit of...
This is a very generic story. This is literally the plot of one of the Captain America films.
Yeah, and it's kind of a bit Resident Evil-ish as well.
A little bit. The movie... Oh, no, wait. Resident Evil 4 pretty much had this.
Oh, okay.
Las Plagas.
Right, okay, well, there you go. Yeah, and we also get an evil Nazi called... A specific Nazi... commandant or whatever he is, Captain Waffner, his name was.
It's a Hauptsturmführer.
Yeah, what a title. An SS guy, so
head storm leader.
Yeah, so we have that. And we get a few other guys. There's a photographer guy who's sort of trying to document things. And there's a few other ones in the troop. Yeah. Unfortunately, we see. I don't know if I was a bit confused because there's one point Boyce is being chased by a dog through the woods, isn't he? And he jumps in the back of a truck, but it's full of bodies of American soldiers, and I think some of them were the ones he's parachuted.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to be the other troopers, sort of thing.
And it's this that accidentally gets him taken into this place, doesn't he? He doesn't particularly want to go in, he's not...
He kind of stumbles completely into the evil Nazi laboratory.
Yeah.
Where they've got, just heads that are still alive and aware, so...
What?
Yeah.
But before all that, they're in the woods and they bump into this girl who runs away. They chase her down, catch her, but she pulls a knife. But they're saying, look, we're Americans. We're looking for this village. And they mention the Germans, and she kind of spits, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And she's talking French, but Boyce can talk French back to her, so that's okay. Then they get to the village with all the bad, all the Nazis, all the Germans, and then she starts talking English, and they say, why talk English now? He goes, I wanted to make sure you weren't arseholes, and you're not, or something like that, which seems fair. Mm. And she tried to understand their intentions, but she obviously hates the Nazis. And we also find out they'd be taking older villagers away and bringing them back. And her aunt, is it her aunt or her aunt's like mutated?
They call her aunt, but she looked like a lot older than she would have been. So well, maybe
was that the experiment? Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. So
yeah, it was kind of horrible, and that made me think of Resident Evil and stuff like that a bit. So they, I'm trying to think what else happens. There's various shenanigans. They do capture this Waffner, and there's quite a lot of brutal violence here, isn't there? Punisher stuff. They're giving him a beating when they're trying to find out stuff, and he's kind of laughing at them, and Boyce doesn't like this brutality, but Ford's fine with it. And there's a little conflict there, and they're trying to find out what's going on. And he manages to escape, doesn't he? With the girl, is it? I'm trying to remember now.
He's able to save one of the troopers.
Yeah,
he's able to save Chase. Did you recognise him?
Chase.
Yeah.
No.
That is Fitz from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right. Now you said it, I think I know it now. Oh, wow. Okay. Nice catch. Yeah, no, I didn't spot that at all. Okay. So it's the accident, because he's usually he's Scottish in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., isn't he? Or am I true? Okay, that threw me off. And there's all sorts of shenanigans going back and forth, getting in the place, getting out. They finally attack. One of their kind has been wired up to all the crap, but they manage to escape with him, don't they? And he gets back, but doesn't he accidentally get shot dead? And for some reason, sorry, go ahead.
They're able to run away with one of the vials.
Okay,
and that's kind of it for that story because the other guys catch the German Obersturmfer commander, whatever his name full title is.
Well, let's say Waffner.
Yeah, they catch Waffner and they like start interrogating him.
Yeah,
and eventually move on to torturing him by like they shove a bag over his head and just start beating him.
Yeah,
and then as they're showing it's Chase that gets recovered. As they're sort of showing him this prisoner, he gets out and grabs a gun and shoots him.
Yeah.
And then they get him with the zombie goo.
Yeah. There's a bit of that, right? Because so when the American guy gets injected with it goes properly weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
His head starts like coming off and flopping back between his shoulders and coming back again, and it's really weird, to say the least. But Waffner also gets injured badly and decides to inject himself anyway, doesn't he? And he becomes like super zombie kind of thing.
Yeah.
Intelligent. Reminded me a bit also of the Arkham Asylum game with Joker. Series.
Yeah, kind of. Especially since he got that like a massive weird grimace a while ago.
Yeah, he had his half his face shot off or something, didn't he, or something like that. So there's. Look, I mean, it was a decent action. I mean, it was kind of half action, half Resident Evil, half World War II mission. It was kind of that kind of stuff with a big. Whoever wrote this obviously likes Wolfenstein. That's kind of, it could have been a Wolfenstein film, couldn't it? Really. It kind of felt like that. So yeah, it was okay. I'm trying to think of any other stuff. I mean, the music was alright. The level of acting was okay. I think it would have worked a little better if the corporal wasn't such a dick.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I kind of like. I warmed to him a bit by the end because he was like, "Yeah, all right, then let's go get him," kind of stuff. But he could have been a slightly more likable chap earlier on. That might have worked better. I also like the fact it was kind of unusual that the infiltration unit going into enemy territory, and they weren't trying to be undercover. So this kind of explains it. Is some of them were black, which is like would stand out quite clearly. In an occupied territory, wouldn't it? Certainly among the Germans, for the Germans. So there was no disguising them or anything like pretending to be German or anything like that. It was just go in and do stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. I also like the beginning stuff with the planes getting shut up. I thought that was really... it kind of laid out there was going to be a lot of brutality in this. But not quite how I expected, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of them when they were interacting in the planes, because when Royce or Boyce, I keep forgetting Boyce, when they were like sort of their captain or whatever was going over what they're doing, he couldn't answer any questions, even like the most simple sort of hoorah propaganda stuff. Yeah. Like, why are we attacking this church?
Yeah.
And the answer the sergeant gives is because the Nazis are evil and they do stuff like put up radio stations in churches, so it doesn't get shot. But it sort of like sets him up as like a complete incompetent, very early on.
I thought he was just nervous. I see what you mean. He kind of cared about people. He even tried to stop him beating Waffner to get information out of him. He says, look, we're better than this. And like Ford was saying, if we got to beat these guys, we got to be the same with them. That's all we have. All we do. I could kind of see it. It was kind of okay. That's how I put it. I don't mind saying it. It's kind of a horror film, but more an action. I mean, it wasn't scary, but there was like horror elements, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was. I can't even say scary because it was just sort of like everything was presented in view, and there wasn't like any sort of dread.
No, apart from when they were creeping around the village, that was it really. I kind of liked it. It was definitely a B movie. It was a genre movie, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised it got a cinematic release actually when I saw it. I was like, how about that? We got at one point we see flamethrowers action, don't we? The woman straps on the flamethrower and has a go with that. Yeah, there was all sorts of elements. There was a lot of video game elements, and there was a lot of, I've mentioned 3 already: Wolfenstein, Arkham Asylum, and Sniper Elite 2 and 3. There's a lot of running around in tunnels in that as well, fighting Nazis. So yeah, I'm surprised they got a budget for this as well. Actually,
yeah.
So okay, it was okay, right? It was
middling.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't really got much to say about it, actually. What would you give this out of 10?
I'd give this about a 5.
Oh, you didn't like it at all then, really?
It was really bored. I was quite bored because I was literally sat there sort of watching it and just thinking all the other movies that do a group of soldiers go into Nazi-occupied territory and go stop a super weapon in development.
Guns are never own. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we've been kind of spoiled on it watching Where Eagles Dare as well, right? I mean, that does it really well. So it kind of multiply. I'm a bit more generous than you. I'd give this a 7, though it's somewhere between 6 and 7, I'd say, for me. It's sort of a low 7. So I'm kind of tending to your way. Let's have a look on IMDb, see what it got on that. That got... 6.8. 6.8.
And 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, apparently. So,
the Rotten Tomatoes is a useless guy for anything. So sort of pay attention to that. It was an adult film, right?
Yeah.
It was.
Oh yeah. Also, the sound balancing was awful. Like the dialogue was too quiet, and all the explosions and stuff was way too loud.
It was loud. I did have to turn it down a few times when the explosions started. You're right.
I ended up having to turn my TV to full just to hear the dialogue,
and then turn it down. So, that can be quite aggravating when films are like that.
Because it was like mid-afternoon. I just left it on full volume. No one else was in the house, so
you could do that. Right? Yeah, fair enough. Okay, all right then. I'll tell you what. Let's wind up there. Well, I mean, Overlord, not a recommend from you, would you say?
No.
I'd say a reasonable recommend for me, especially if you like genre films. But I think this could have been a lot more fun and excited. It wasn't grim enough. It was grim, but not grim enough to be grim. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fun. It didn't quite have the balance it needed to. Though I've got no specific complaints other than I think Ford should have been a little more likeable earlier on. I think that would have made it a little more. Because at the beginning it was like, I don't really care about these guys much, apart from Boyce. And some of them got likeable towards the end. But that was a bit too late. So there was that. All right, then let's wind it up there. So bye from me.
Bye.